Jeff from Oakbound Studio here. Thank you for joining me. I said recently about a new project that I was working on, my Warriors Combat Cards project. And I've been working on the Maison Tile board, of course. And I've been working on some stuff for Oakbound, and I've been working on the Patreon for this year. So I definitely need another project, right? Definitely need another project. Well, you know how it is when your brain starts thinking of things, it doesn't stop thinking of things, or at least mine doesn't. And I was thinking about this figure that was the event miniature from Boyle this year. This is a Gary Morley sculpt of Brian Ansell as the Mighty Dark-Twinned Avenger, as a tribute sculpt to Brian, who passed away at Christmas, or last Christmas. And so I wanted to do I wanted to paint this figure, but I wanted to do a sort of diorama homage to him. So I was thinking about what I could do with him, and I remembered that when I was a kid, we had Christmas crackers one year that had little fantasy miniatures in them, and I got this castle that I thought looked very much like the Citadel logo. I still think it does look quite like the Citadel logo in many respects, and I thought, I wonder if I could use that as a feature. So I was sort of putting them up against each other, and I thought, well, actually, what I would really like to show here is that Brian, yes, was instrumental, but he was part of a team. Yes, I mean, he was a very big part of that team, and he was very instrumental in directing the way that things went at Citadel and at Games Workshop. But I wanted to show that maybe he was not a solitary part of that as well, and commemorate some other people who were around him. So what I decided to do was have him as part of a Chaos retinue. So I've got another couple of Chaos Warriors here as well that I'm going to do some conversion work. And my intention is to remove this big Citadel staff from here and fit that as a banner pole being held by one of the other Chaos Warriors, possibly with a banner attached to it. Replace that in Brian's hand with the 3rd edition Warhammer logo, the small Warhammer. Oh, well, not a small, a big Warhammer, but small, not a, small compared to the full-sized Warhammer that I made last year. Anyway, give him that Warhammer in his hand, which is it won't be too difficult, but it's going to involve carving out a little bit of the cloak down here where the staff pole goes in front of it, and resculpting that cloak a bit. I'm going to repose this hand slightly, and then I've got a very small 6-sided dice that I want him to be sort of holding in as a magical talisman artifact way. I'm undecided about these horns. My inclination is, once I've lost the staff here and put the Warhammer in place, my inclination is to lose the horns, take them off, make the shoulder pads a bit squarer, and then either remount them sort of further back, or maybe put some wings on, because the quote in the Warhammer Armies book is that he's the Mighty Dark-Winged Avenger, and I think that's what the horns are sort of supposed to indicate, but I don't really like them. I think they take away from the head, and the composition of the figure will be quite different when the hands moved and this staff isn't here anyway, so I think it'll look better without them framing the head. I'm going to have a separate helmet from another model that I'm going to put in the hands of one of the other Chaos retinue, so they're like the helmet bearer for Brian. And then in the background behind, I'm going to sort of have this castle so that it kind of mirrors the standard will be the other side with that little castle, so that it's sort of reflected by the large scale castle behind Brian. And then I've got a so I'm undecided about this one, but I've got a few 12mm figures that I have in the foreground, so that I can paint the background scene here like Hrothjog's tower, the kind of classic John Blanche painting, going up behind Brian, then mirrored with the banner on the other side, and then balanced out by the figures below him is the plan. So it's going to be quite involved, I think, and it's going to involve doing a little bit of work, adding a few bits to this castle, changing this figure quite considerably, doing some conversion work on the other figures, doing lots of groundwork, because it will need to be quite a rocky, detailed base. But I think it will be. I think it will work, and I think it'll be quite a nice tribute to the man and his team. My thought was, and I haven't fully gone through this. My thought was that I will make the banner bearer. Actually, he says holding a grotesque model, so she won't thank me for this. But I'll try and sculpt this guy. I'll take his head off and move it upwards so that he has a less hunched stance, and try and give him the head of Diane Ansell. As she's been very much his sort of support and standard bearer, if you like, throughout. So I wanted to have her featured. She might not thank me for the choice of model, but I hope she will be pleased to be included. And then I wondered about maybe having the other figure either just a still helmeted figure to suggest any of the rest of the team or all of the rest of the team together. But I did also wonder whether I should take that off and have Marcus Ansell, Brian's son's head on there as the sort of successor, if you like, to the kind of to the Ansell name and business. So I don't know, maybe that's my thinking anyway. So there's another project in the works, and I will probably post photos of that on my blog. But once I've mocked it up, I might do another video going through the various kind of compositional elements, because there's a lot to it. There's with the castle in the background and the figures in the foreground and potentially a banner. There's a lot of different elements, and tying those together I think is going to take a little bit of trial and error on the assembly front, so that everything complements and leads the eye in the right direction. And the eye, very much in this case, should be drawn to Brian's head should be very much in the middle, and everything else should be framing that. So it's gonna take a little bit of work to try and make that happen. But that's it's I find it quite inspiring to try and work out how that's gonna work. So drop back in at some point, and I will show you what I've got. Take care. See you next week.